So, we recently had a question about the Beatitudes, and apparently, some people see this as some sort of checklist that proves that someone is saved or actions that someone needs to take in order to be saved. But if you're reading it like that, then you're reading it with the wrong lens because this is about blessings. It's a passage of comfort to believers who walk in God's ways that they have eternal rewards for their heart posture and choices and actions. So let's read it in context. It says, "And seeing the multitudes, he went up on a mountain, and when he was seated, his disciples came to him. Then he opened his mouth and taught them, saying, Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. And blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." So I think that a lot of people see this as a direct cause and effect, that if you do this, then you get that. Like I said in the beginning, it's more a passage of comfort and reminders of the blessings that do come from walking in God's ways. This actually reminded me of the letter to the churches in Revelation, and at the end of each segment, Jesus gives them a reminder of the reward or a blessing that comes from overcoming. So, for example, to the persecuted church, he says, "He who overcomes shall not be hurt by the second death." So in context, the persecuted church was facing physical death. So what would be a fitting reminder or piece of comfort? To tell them that they won't be hurt by the second death. Likewise, the concept of this message is the same, that Jesus is reminding his disciples of the blessing that comes from walking and operating in God's ways. So let's look at verse 9, which says, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God." Jesus is not saying that if you are, or in order to be called a son of God, you have to be a peacemaker. What he is saying, though, is that instead of engaging in the world system of strife, be a peacemaker because you are a son of God. You will be called a son of God. You don't have to worry about doing things the world's way when instead you have the identity of being a son of God. Another way to look at it is Jesus saying, even though it's hard right now, there are eternal blessings as a result. And lastly, we can tie it in with what comes at the end of that segment, which says, "Blessed are you when they revile and persecute you and say all kinds of evil against you falsely for my sake. Rejoice and be exceedingly glad, for great is your reward in heaven, for so they persecuted the prophets who were before you." So despite uncomfortable feelings or experiences that we have on earth, we can rejoice and be exceedingly glad because in heaven, our reward will be great. The last thing I want to say on this is that God's kingdom is upside down from the world system. And ultimately, that's at the heart of this message, that the way that the world looks at things is not the way that God looks at things. God looks at our hearts, and he will reward us accordingly.